3 feet. I'm not sure what. Yeah. Okay, so then after imperial system, right? When they came out with that, they came out with the metric system, and this was actually just people thinking it through and being like, okay, instead of us actually having 12 inches in a foot, and all these like weird measurements that you have to like memorize how many of everything there are in it, they said, why don't we just make like let's like our meter stick, right? There are 100 centimeters in a meter, right? How many meters are in a kilometer? You guys know that one?
1,000.
Yeah, it's 1,000. There's 1,000 meters in a kilometer. We're gonna go through all that. You're not expected to know that yet, but they made it easy. So it's either gonna be like 10, 100, 1,000. Things that end in 0, right? So they just made it like work out nice. And why this is gonna work out nice? I'll give you an example here. So I'll show you some examples below, but why? But let's say if I had 3,256 meters, and I said, can you convert that to kilometers? And a lot of people, like, you might pull out your phone and try to do the conversion scale or whatever, right? But this isn't actually too bad, because how many meters did you say there was there's 1,000 meters in a kilometer, right? So 1,000 meters in a kilometer, so there are 3 zeros in 1,000. So what we do is we can move the decimal place 1, 2, 3 times. So there would be 3.256 kilometers. I never had to do any math there other than moving the decimal place, right? Moving the decimal place to the left, moving the decimal place to the right. So the metric system is far superior than the imperial system. Okay. Okay, so looking at this table here, what's going on here? There are different prefixes, just words before, that we can go off of. And so we've got kilo, we got hecto, deca, and then centa, deci, centa, and milla. Okay, so that might not make any sense, but if our base unit, if we were measuring meters, right? If we were measuring like distance, that'd be meters. Well, that would mean our base unit was m, right, for meters. Could you guys write this down too, like on yours? They are over here too, but it'll be good to have it there too. Okay, so base unit there would be meters. Okay, so what about this? I'll start at the top. This word will sound familiar. This is a kilometer, right? Kilometer, or kilometer, or kilometer, like we'd say it, right? Just it means that there are going to be, well, conversion factor here means that there's 0.001 kilometers in 1 meter. Like, I know that sounds confusing, but if I go, yeah, you can kind of see from this though that you just move the decimal place 1, 2, 3 times to get over to that part, or to that point, right? Because there are 1,000 meters in 1 kilometer. Okay? Hecto, we don't really use hectometer that much. Sometimes we would. Same with decameter. We don't really use that too often. We do use meters pretty often. We don't use decimeters very often, which would be, yeah. Let's if you go centimeters, right? There are 100 centimeters in a meter, right? And millimeters, so those are the smallest unit on this guy, right? Those are those little ticks. How many would there be? How many little ticks would there be in that meter? 1,000. Yeah, next one up. There was 100 centimeters, right? The centimeters are the bigger ticks, right? Like those ones. The little ticks, there's 1,000. There's gonna be 1,000 of those little ticks in 1 meter. Okay. And then, sorry, decimeter. We could do that one too. A decimeter would be, well, every 10. Like, so that would be 1 decimeter. That would be 2 decimeters. But we never say that, right? We talk about centimeters. You'd say that's 10 centimeters, 20 centimeters. Nobody. If someone said it's like 1 decimeter, people would probably look at them funny. But you're gonna say that? No, yeah, that's about like 10 decimeters. Yeah. Okay. So that's the idea there. So let's determine the following. So it says 25 liters. Okay, so I was doing meters before, right? But your base unit can be anything. We can measure, well, what would you measure in liters? What type of... If someone said that, you know, you're putting a certain amount of liters... Liquid. Yeah, that's how we measure liquid, right? So a certain amount of liquid is measured in liters. So base unit would be L for liters. And then just the same thing. We could have kiloliters, hectoliters, decaliters. You could have deciliters, centiliters, milliliters. You've probably heard of milliliters, right? Right, like on the juice box, 250 milliliters, right? Yeah, okay. So let's change 25 liters to however many deciliters. Okay, so 25 liters. And what we can do here is say, okay, if we're starting here and we're going to deciliters, so this one, right? Well, what do you think that would be? 25 liters would be how many deciliters? How many liters are, or sorry, how many deciliters are in a liter? 10. Yeah, there's 10. So all we got to do is divide by 10. So we go like 25 divided by 10. Or the decimal was right there, right? It was 25.0 really, because there's just going to be a decimal behind the 25. So we're just going to move that decimal over 1 because it's just going like down 1, right? If you move one spot down on this list, then the decimal is going to move one spot to the left. Okay? And the only, like the place that you might make a mistake here is moving the decimal the wrong way. So like what I recommend is just putting it to the reason test. Like let's do this one. So 157 millimeters would be how many meters? So if we start off with 157, how many spaces away am I here? With milli to the base unit. There's the 3 spots, right? There's 3 spots. So I got 1, 2, 3. Or it's 1,000, right? There's 1,000 milliliter or meters in a meter, right? So it's something to do with 1,000. What do you think? Am I going to multiply this by 1,000 or divide by 1,000? Would I expect this number to be bigger or smaller? So if it's this many millimeters, and then I'm turning it into something meters. Yeah, I'm expecting smaller, right? Because I'm gonna, if I have a lot of millimeters, that's gonna be a small amount of meters, right? So 3 zeros and 1,000. There's 1,000 there. So we're gonna move the decimal place. It was there right in the end. 1, 2, 3 times to the left, and then there would be a 0 up front. So that would be 0.157 meters. So just moving that decimal place to the left or moving it to the right. That's why the metric system's so easy. Okay, 12 kilograms to milligrams. All right. Good news is here, we can... Yeah, so it's like we're starting here, right? We're starting at this one, and we're going down to this one. So how many would there be? Yeah, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, right? Goes down 6 to get to that point. Or you could go 3 and 3, right? Because there's 3 of the base units in a kilo, or 1,000, right? Base units in a kilogram, or kilo. Is it grams? What am I doing here? Uh-oh, froze. No good. Yeah, kilogram. And then there are 1,000 grams in a milligram. So 1,000 and 1,000. So we're going to have 6 zeros behind that. Right? So either way, okay, let's write it down. So we got 12 kilograms. And I want to change that to milligrams. All right, just putting this to the reason test. Am I expecting a big number here or a small number here? Oops. There you go. Thank you. Am I expecting a big number here or a small number here? So, well, a kilogram's pretty big, right? Like imagine like a kilogram. Yeah, like, that's like, that's going to be something pretty heavy, so hard to lift, right? So I'm going to have a lot of milligrams, right, to add up to that same weight. So I'm expecting a big number here. I'm going to have lots of them, lots of these little things, right? So I got to move the decimal place 6 times, right? Remember, it was 6 different spots from there to there, right down to the bottom. So it's going to make sense to move it to the right or to the left. It was there, right? So now we're going to move it. Well, here, I'll do it one more time. So it was right there. We're going to move it 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So the decimal will now be there. And then we fill in zeros in its place everywhere that I was there. And then maybe write it again so it doesn't look so messy. And you can see that made sense, right? We just ended up adding 6 more zeros onto the end of it, right? All right. Okay. This is just the same little picture there.